Hey everybody, KMO here. Put out a request on Twitter asking people for suggestions for a topic for today's video, and the first to respond was Eric, who asks, and I don't have the tweet in front of me, so you can read it verbatim. I am reproducing it from memory, something to the effect of, when CRISPR technologies allow parents to choose their children's IQs and their temperament, will that rob them of their free will? And my answer to that is no, because free will is largely an illusion anyway. You know, right now we lack sufficient information, and it's easier to appeal to this thing called free will, you know, than it is to track down all of the variables that govern our behavior, or at least prompt our behavior. But, you know, as science gets a better handle on all those things, I think the notion of free will is going to seem less and less plausible, which is going to be a big challenge to liberal democracies. As Yuval Noah Harari goes into in great detail in his book Homo Deus, which I have been re-listening to on Audible in recent days. But, so, I mean, I guess I've sort of diffused Eric's initial question in that, one, I don't think that CRISPR technology in particular, or, you know, genetic engineering or cybernetics or any other technology is really going to let parents choose their children's IQ, because I don't think that IQ is entirely determined by, you know, genetic factors or biological factors. And I don't think it's going to allow them to choose their temperament, although, you know, maybe there'll be greater control over that sort of thing. But what is really of interest to me in this issue is that, and this again is coming from Yuval Noah Harari, in the past, the elite classes, the wealthy, the powerful, have always believed themselves to be better than the common people, and they believe that they deserve to live better than the common people. And in the past, that has been a self-justifying lie. I was going to say fanciful story, but it's a lie, or it was a lie. You know, certainly I know people who are better entrepreneurs. They are smarter in certain ways than I am. You know, they're harder workers. They have applied themselves more diligently than I have, and I hate and admire them for these things. And clearly they are better than me, but I don't think that wealth and social status breaks down along those lines, because so often the wealthy people want to leave their, you know, their money and their positions of power and privilege to their children who didn't get the smarts, you know. So not everybody starts in the same place, and smarts don't always overcome, you know, a better starting position in life. But as Yuval Noah Harari points out in the book, while that was a lie in the past, in the future it will be true. You know, there's just been this big scandal of wealthy people lying and bribing and you know, committing perjury and fraud to get their children, who are unremarkable in their efforts at least, into exclusive schools, so that their kids can have the social and financial benefits of, you know, having gone to those schools, made connections at those schools, having credentials from those schools behind their names. You know, so it's clear that those with the means to do so will take what actions they can to privilege their children and to give their children a better, you know, a better head start, or a competitive advantage over the children of people of lesser means. That's going to happen. It's just that as these technologies get more sophisticated and more widespread, you know, the old myth of the wealthy being a better class of people will become true. You know, they really will be smarter. They really will work harder. They really will have greater power over the tendency towards sloth, or doing what's easy, you know, or doing what's easy not just physically or mentally, but psychologically or socially. You know, the wealthy with the means to augment their children, well, their children, they will be a better class of human being. And what I think is going to happen is that, and this you know, is pulling back from that sort of sci-fi sounding future to the present moment, and talking in terms of economics. Marriage, I saw this this comedy routine on YouTube a little while ago, where the comic was making a joke about how marriage is for poor people. Because if he hits it big as a comic and he gets a lot of money, he's never going to ask a woman to marry him, because that would be the equivalent of him walking up to a beautiful woman and saying, hey, I'll bet you half my stuff that I never cheat on you. But I think he's absolutely 100% wrong. I think Harriet Fraud is much more on the money, where marriage has become the privilege of the wealthy. It's a long story. I won't try to reproduce it verbatim here, because if I did, that would totally change the course of the video. But I think that the society in technologically advanced countries first, and then everywhere later, is going to at least bifurcate and possibly stratify into several layers of not just wealth, not just status, not just privilege, but of ability. And the people at the top, they really will be the best. And for young men these days, it is harder to get married. There is less social pressure on women to define themselves via their relationship to a man. Women are better represented in universities. More women graduate from university than men graduate from university these days, at least in the United States and other, so-called first world countries. And basically, it's just never been a better time to be a woman, and the old male privileges are melting away, and my kids will never experience them. And so I think we're going to get a bifurcation, a very early bifurcation. In fact, it's already started, where some men of privilege, men of means, maybe the smarter, the better looking, the more athletic, the harder working men, they will still have the opportunity to get a lot of their social and psychological needs satisfied in meat space. They will have an actual flesh and blood wife, and probably a mistress or two. And they will have nice cars, and they will have, the status symbols that give them that neurological glow, that buzz that says, oh yeah, you, sir, are hitting that reproductive fitness on all cylinders. Good on you. And most everybody else will have to be satisfied by ersatz substitutes. So video games are designed to be psychologically fulfilling. And as more and more people retreat, or they just accept the consolation prize of simulated satisfaction, and completely foregoing the possibility of ever experiencing embodied traditional satisfaction, the sort of satisfaction that comes from having a high status job, from having a lot of money, from having either a devoted or a good looking spouse, or accomplished children, or at least beautiful children, or at least suitably behaved children. More and more people are going to be going for the electronic and other substitutes for, life satisfaction, and genuine, embodied in the flesh, traditional life satisfaction will be largely the privilege and the exclusive territory of the wealthy. But, and this I think is from Andrew Yang's book, young men who have decided to just blow off having a career and just spend all day, every day playing video games online with their friends, they're happier. They're happier than their peers who are still striving to get the real thing in the real world. And I think that as the wealthy and the powerful, improve themselves, improve their children, actually become a different species of being, with different capabilities, they too will still feel the allure of simulated satisfaction, because simulated satisfaction will come so easily, and it will be so satisfying because it is designed to get you hooked, that people that we would think would have better options are going to settle. They're going to choose the simulated satisfaction, and at some point we're just going to have to come to grips with the dawning reality that the simulated satisfactions really are more satisfying than the traditional ones, even for wealthy people. Even the movie stars and rock stars and tech, billionaire CEOs, they're going to be plugging into the simulated satisfaction machines because, their lives are challenging. Their lives are hard. They sometimes, experience defeat or humiliation, and the soothing quality, the escape of the simulated satisfaction is ever present. It's right there. It's like if you're a rock star, there's always somebody nearby with drugs, with coke, with heroin, with ecstasy, something to make you feel immediately better in the moment, regardless of what it is that's got you down. And, with the drugs I just mentioned, if you rely on those for your satisfaction, that's a short runway. You will soon bump up against the limits of that method of, simulated satisfaction. But things that are designed from the ground up, with our satisfaction, our neurology, and our needs in mind, they're getting really good, and they're gonna get better. And I think that more and more people will be disappearing into the black hole of simulated experience and leaving, the actual traditional satisfactions of a life well lived to that new class of human beings who are extra smart, extra diligent, extra talented, with great memories and creativity and amazing social skills and lots and lots of money. But that, only the best will completely forswear all the simulated satisfactions. And they will be an increasingly lonely breed, I think, as more and more people, they succumb to the siren song of the simulated pleasures. So those are my thoughts on that topic. What do you think? Post something in the comments, hit me up on Twitter. You know how to get in touch with me. I will talk to you again tomorrow.